in the flowers and in the trees. It's just in that state of mind where it experiences everything. That all this unbounded awareness. But how can I know it's outside myself when I don't experience it?
It's a beautiful point you are raising, no? Now, from our own experience, we know that we have to go beyond the finest activity, and then that awareness, which even for myself is without any boundary, unbounded. Now, this unboundedness with reference to myself, how can I attribute that this is here also? Is the question now. But because this experience of unboundedness with reference to myself has been gained by going beyond the finest experience. And therefore what we conclude is, beyond the finest strata of material existence is the non-material unboundedness which is myself. And because the entire manifest or material universe has layers of existence, layer after layer, layer within the layer, layer within the layer, from gross to the subtle layers, and therefore every little bit of material universe deep within is nothing but unmanifest awareness, which is this, what I myself am. And therefore I am all that I am without a second. I am the monarch of all I survey, and more than that. And then this is from inference. One thing I am experiencing and logically deriving and implementing or labeling that experience on everything else in creation and concluding that I am in this omnipresence of being. Now, this intellectual understanding of one state of consciousness becomes a living reality in the other state of consciousness, in the state of supreme knowledge. The consciousness is held on the level of unity of life, and then one knows that there is nothing else without that. As far as domination is concerned, not that the duality is completely lost, but the unity dominates. And when the unity dominates, then we know this all-pervading layer of life. It becomes cognized, direct cognition. One knows by cognition, by being it. Omnipresent level of life. In order to reflect the sun, something that is other than the sun is enough. Water is enough. Oil is enough. Diamond cut is enough. Something other than the sun can reflect the sun.
The sun has attributes. It's like yellow and shiny and the light.
Fine. But these things are different from the reflector. Completely different. This is different, this is different. Whatever the attributes. Like that, being is different, nervous system is different. Yeah, different material. This is a non-material material, and this is a material material. So the nervous system, which is a material material, made of matter, nervous system, due to its specific structure. Nervous system, matter, fastened together in a specific style of netting, is capable of reflecting the unmanifest in its full value. The nervous system of the petal is not capable of reflecting that. But the nervous system of man, this is also matter, this is also matter. But, and probably the matter here is the matter here, but the interwovenness of the matter in the human nervous system is such that it can reflect.
The other thing that reflecting
I, the bound individual,
something different from the nervous system.
Different from the nervous system.
Not absolute, not nervous system.
No.
Not
No, reflection. Sun, water, reflection, which is a combination of the two, reflection, and that is S, small self. Self is the reflection on this nervous system and the reflection of omnipresent being. So the original thing is being, but when it is reflected, then full value of being is not reflected. It is a small self. Now this self lingers on three relative states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, sleeping, waking, dreaming, sleeping, waking, dreaming, sleeping. But with the modification of the reflector nervous system, the quality of the small self begins to shine more and more in the value of the big self, the cosmic. And eventually, the value of the reflection, the small self, gains the value of being. Then we write it with big S, big self. So it's just the transformation of the self small into self big by virtue of the modification of the nervous system from its stressed and strained condition to its normal functioning level. Nervous system is functioning normally, and the reflection, which is an individual bound in time and space, the individual bound in time and space becomes expanded and then gains the status of unboundedness. So, being becomes fully reflected in a particular state of nervous system when the material and structural modifications have been brought to that level necessary for that type of reflection.
Maharishi, there's a question here, right?
In the whole creation is different types of beings, be small, creatures. And a being or a creature has two aspects to his personality: body, gross, and the inner creature, inner man, whatever, the subjective aspect of it. Depending on what they are for their value of the body, we find they display less energy, more energy, maximum energy in the relative, minimum energy in the relative. At the same time, minimum intelligence in the relative and maximum intelligence in the relative. The whole sphere of beings, less powerful, more powerful, and all that. In our own case, we know that as the mind goes down within, the whole structure changes, and then what is happening is the angry I of yesterday is a calm, quiet fellow of today. Change. And then the change, and the change, and the change, and then the cosmic consciousness is a reality of life, and then the God consciousness is reality of life, and unity of life is a living reality. And unity of life means fullness of being. Cosmic consciousness means fullness of being along with the waking state. So what is happening is growth of being. Now, if this growth of being could be explained in terms of the reflection of being on the nervous system, it doesn't make the logic invalid, does it? The nervous system, the reflector being modified, reflector being modified, reflector being modified, and then the reflection eventually gains the quality of the original, and then this gives us to understand that no matter in what level of creation, all the existences for their subjective value are nothing but the reflections of the one and the same omnipresent being which is life eternal. And the difference in the reflections is due to the difference of the reflectors. Different nervous systems reflect the same one reality differently. Even so, when we see in our own daily life that our nervous system, subjected to different conditions of stress or rest, produces different states of consciousness, waking state of consciousness. And then by the night the body is tired and it's gone, and then sleep state of consciousness. And by the morning the whole thing is right, and then waking state of consciousness. So these different states of consciousness are nothing but different values of reflections of the same omnipresent being on different conditions of nervous system. That is how the principle of reflection of the same omnipresent being is not invalid.
I merely made that.
The reflection is green. The sun is not green. The reflection has gained a status by itself, and that status, that greenness, is not from the sun, it is from the reflector, water. So the attributes that come to the eye or to the reflection, the attributes that come to the reflection, waking state of consciousness, dreaming state of consciousness, these are the attributes of the reflection, the I, the self. Sleep state of consciousness, different qualities. They come not from the non-attribute or attribute-less being, but from the nervous system which is full of attributes. Attributes of the nervous system reflect as attributes of the self, waking state or dreaming state or sleep state or samadhi state or cosmic consciousness, or when it is unity, then it is attribute-less. But these attributes in the reflection, they belong to the area of the reflector and not to the substance that is reflected. And therefore, the attribute-less being can very well have a reflection with full of attributes owing to or on account of the material reflector nervous system.
You seek to accept the substance being reflected at the same time that you accept that being has no substance. Do you just not understand right?
Or reflect starts to manifest and gradually it becomes little harder skin and eventually very hard skin and bitter skin. All the qualities completely different from and inside completely different, outside completely different, even though outside is nothing but the same that is inside. Once we have divided the two spheres of existence, one has formulated the field of existences and the other is the pure field of existence. Once we have done a division, then one could be talked in terms of the reflector and the other the original to reflect. I don't see any damage of logic in presenting this explanation of being and transformation of the quality of the nervous system in order to live full being. I think this reflection analogy is most accurate and it explains the whole idea in a very concrete and picturesque way. Understanding, and we want to waver it off. That because the absolute is attribute-less, we cannot explain it through language or remaining in the field of the attribute. What we say is, because the absolute being is attribute-less, therefore it is not possible to speak the language of that field. And if it is to be explained, it can only be explained from the field of the attribute. And therefore we say and we explain it. See? Because it in itself is attribute-less. And in that sphere of the no attributes, the language, the speech is mute. The words don't come out. And that is why from its own level it cannot be spoken of. From its own level it cannot be explained. Therefore we explain it from the level it can be explained. And that's why we are talking about it. We are talking not because we can't talk about it, but because we can talk about it. Because it can only be talked on the level of speech. It in its own level cannot be talked. We don't have a language of the absolute value, but we have a language which can enumerate the absolute value, and therefore we are open to talking about it, because that is not a very good thing to say that nobody can talk about it. Why can't we talk about it? Certainly we have no field of speech in the realm of the absolute. But now another phase of it. But when the absolute begins to be lived in life, then it is parallel with speech and with touch and with smell and taste and sight. Once we start living the Absolute, and therefore the speech is running through the Absolute, the sight is running through the Absolute, and in this case we can really speak of the Absolute from the level of living it. In other case, from the level of guessing about it. But from this level, by living it. Generally, the people who have read some kind of incomplete philosophies come out to say that, oh, those who speak about it don't know it, and those who know it don't speak about it. And then we say only the knowers of reality can talk about reality. Those who know it, they only can talk about it. And it's wild to say that those who know don't talk about it. Then who brings the knowledge from generation to generation? If the talking is to be only in the field of ignorance, then we say just those they don't know about it. Now, there are some such passages in the Upanishad somewhere, that those who know it don't talk it. Beautiful. This means that those who know it have realized cosmic consciousness by being it, and those who live it in life, whatever they speak, they are only a witness to their speech, and they are not speaking that. They are only a witness to whatever they are speaking. So if they are speaking God, they are not speaking God. They are just witness to that speech. So those who know it, those who live it, don't speak it. But speaking, they don't speak it. Speaking, they don't speak it. Huh? Not speaking, they don't speak it. But speaking, they don't speak it. So it is also right that they don't speak it, because not only it they don't speak, but the fact is that they don't speak anything. Just because they, by their own status, they are witness to things. Whatever they are speaking, they are witness to it. In this sense, the Upanishad says, those who know it don't speak it. That means in their status, they are just the witness. The reality is just a witness to everything, and it is unallied with any speech. So the knowers of reality don't speak it. But certainly they speak it. Otherwise, how will the wisdom be transferred from generation to generation? It would have ended long ago if they had not spoken it. But because established in that reality, they are a witness to whatever they are speaking. So speaking, they don't speak. In this sense, knowers of reality don't speak about it. Otherwise they do.
I think they just lay out a technique for the generation.
Supreme knowledge speaks. It speaks. It speaks. When a man in supreme knowledge speaks, it speaks. The Absolute speaks. And that's it. And no matter about what it speaks, but it is its speech. Shrutis are its speech, and any man in supreme knowledge is it personified. it personified. All its perception, experience, activity are the activity of it. And therefore, it's not that the knowers of reality don't speak about it or don't speak it, but the fact is that only they can speak it out, or only they can speak about it. It's only the knowers of reality that can speak. The ignorant can make gestures about it.